Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are diving into the work of Dr. Birru.
Ew, exciting.
I know, right? A leading expert on eating and substance use disorders.
Oh, okay.
And we've got their lecture notes, and they are just packed with fascinating material.
Fascinating.
So we're going to be talking about everything from anorexia and bulimia, which I think most people are at least somewhat familiar with,
Yeah.
to lesser-known eating disorders like pica and rumination disorder.
Wow. I've heard of pica, but not rumination disorder.
Well, you're in for a treat. And then there's a whole fascinating section on the link between childhood experiences and addiction.
Now that I'm really curious about
Me too. It's like Dr. Birru just takes us on this incredible journey through the landscape of these disorders and just provides so much insight and depth.
I'm already impressed, and we haven't even started yet.
I know, right? Okay, well, let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Dr. Birru starts by defining eating disorders. And this is key. They define them as abnormal eating habits combined with an intense focus on body weight and shape. But, and this is really important, they're very clear that these are not just lifestyle choices or like personality quirks or something.
Right.
These are serious mental illnesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
With potentially life-threatening consequences.
That's a really important point to emphasize because I think sometimes eating disorders get trivialized or dismissed as like a vanity issue.
Exactly.
When in reality, they can be just as deadly as any other mental illness.
Exactly.
So we're not talking about like, oh, I'm going on a diet. We're talking about something much more serious.
Exactly. So let's break it down a little bit more.
Okay.
So Dr. Birru mentions several different categories of eating disorders, but let's start with the three most common ones.
Okay.
Anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating disorder.
Got it.
Now, each one has its own unique set of challenges and symptoms,
Yeah.
but they all share this common thread of a distorted relationship with food and body image.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So let's start with anorexia nervosa. Dr. Birru states right up front that anorexia has the highest mortality rate of all psychiatric disorders.
Wow, that's really striking.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It really highlights the severity of this disorder and how important it is to take it seriously.
Absolutely.
So Dr. Birru describes two main types of anorexia,
Okay.
restricting type and binge eating purging type.
So it's not always just about restricting food intake.
No. And I think that's a common misconception.
Yeah.
People think anorexia, oh, it's just people starving themselves.
Right.
But the binge eating purging type really complicates that picture.
So what's the difference between the two types?
Well, with the restricting type, individuals severely limit their calorie intake.
Okay.
They might skip meals, eat tiny portions, and just have an overall very, very limited diet,
So it's like a constant state of self-imposed starvation.
basically.
Yeah. That's so sad.
It is, and it takes a huge toll on the body.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Now, with the binge eating purging type,
Yeah.
individuals engage in episodes of binge eating where they consume a large amount of food in a short period of time.
Okay.
But then they follow that with purging behaviors.
What?
Things like self-induced vomiting, laxative abuse, excessive exercise.
So it's like they're trying to undo the binge eating.
Exactly. It's this desperate attempt to prevent weight gain and maintain control.
But it sounds incredibly damaging both physically and mentally.
It is. And Dr. Birru really emphasizes the physical and psychological consequences of both types of anorexia.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about everything from extreme weight loss to malnutrition to heart problems to electrolyte imbalances.
Wow, so it really affects every system in the body.
It does. And psychologically, anorexia can lead to depression, anxiety, social isolation, distorted body image, and a whole host of other issues.
So it's like a vicious cycle. The anorexia itself can worsen the mental health problems and vice versa.
Exactly. It's this complex interplay of physical and psychological factors that can be really difficult to untangle.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand why this disorder has such a high mortality rate.
And it's not just about vanity or wanting to be thin like some people might think.
Right.
It's much deeper than that.
So if it's not about vanity, what is it about?
Well, Dr. Birru suggests that a lot of it stems from a need for control.
Control.
Yeah, many individuals with anorexia feel like their lives are out of control.
Okay.
And so they try to gain control over something. They can control their food intake and their weight.
So like a coping mechanism.
Exactly, but it's a very maladaptive coping mechanism because it ends up causing more harm than good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Dr. Birru also talks about the role of distorted body image in anorexia.
Okay.
So individuals with anorexia often have this very distorted view of their bodies.
In what way?
They may see themselves as overweight or even obese, even when they're severely underweight.
Wow, so it's like their perception of their body doesn't match reality.
Exactly. And this distorted body image is often very resistant to change, even when presented with evidence to the contrary.
That must make treatment really challenging.
It does, because even if you can help someone gain weight physically,
Yeah.
if their mind is still telling them that they're fat,
Right.
then they're going to continue to engage in those restrictive behaviors.
So it's like you have to address both the physical and the psychological aspects of the disorder.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru really emphasizes that treatment for anorexia needs to be comprehensive and multidisciplinary.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, it often involves a combination of things like medical care to address the physical health consequences,
Okay.
nutritional counseling to help restore healthy eating patterns,
Makes sense.
and psychotherapy to address the underlying psychological issues.
So it's not just about getting people to eat again, it's about helping them develop a healthier relationship with food and their bodies.
Exactly. And it's a long and challenging process.
I can imagine.
But Dr. Birru stresses that recovery is possible with the right support and treatment.
That's good to hear.
It is. Okay, so we've explored anorexia in some depth. Let's move on to another complex eating disorder,
Okay.
bulimia nervosa.
Now, what's the key difference between bulimia and anorexia?
Well, with bulimia, individuals typically maintain a normal weight.
Oh, so unlike anorexia, where people are severely underweight.
Exactly. And this can make bulimia even more insidious because it's not always as visually obvious.
Right, so someone could be struggling with bulimia, but you might not even know it.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru really emphasizes that even though people with bulimia may appear healthy on the outside,
Yeah.
they're often experiencing significant distress and health consequences.
So what are the hallmarks of bulimia?
Well, it's characterized by the cycle of binge eating, followed by compensatory behaviors.
Okay, can you break that down a little bit more?
Sure. So during a binge eating episode,
Yeah.
individuals consume a large amount of food in a relatively short period of time.
Okay.
And they often feel a sense of loss of control during these episodes.
Like they can't stop themselves.
Exactly.
And then what are the compensatory behaviors?
So after a binge eating episode, individuals engage in these compensatory behaviors to prevent weight gain.
Like what?
The most common ones are self-induced vomiting, laxative abuse, and excessive exercise.
So it's similar to the binge eating, purging type of anorexia, but the key difference is that people with bulimia typically maintain a normal weight.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru points out that this cycle of binging and purging can be incredibly damaging both physically and psychologically.
What are some of the physical consequences?
Well, repeated vomiting can lead to things like tooth decay, esophageal damage, electrolyte imbalances, dehydration.
Wow, it's a lot.
It is. And then laxative abuse can cause problems with the digestive system,
Okay.
and excessive exercise can put a lot of strain on the body.
So it's like they're attacking their bodies from all angles.
In a way, yeah. And psychologically, bulimia can lead to feelings of shame, guilt, and low self-esteem.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen.
It's a really difficult cycle to break free from.
So how do you treat bulimia?
Well, Dr. Birru emphasizes that treatment for bulimia needs to address both the physical and the psychological aspects of the disorder.
Okay.
So it often involves a combination of things like nutritional counseling.
To help develop healthier eating habits.
Exactly.
Oh.
Therapy to address the underlying emotional issues that might be contributing to the bulimia.
Got it.
And sometimes medication.
Really? Medication can help with bulimia?
It can. Certain antidepressants have been found to be effective in reducing the frequency and severity of binge eating and purging episodes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's interesting. And Dr. Birru specifically mentions fluoxetine as being particularly helpful for bulimia.
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, but it's important to note that medication is not a cure-all for bulimia.
Right.
It's just one part of a comprehensive treatment plan.
So it's not like you just take a pill and everything's magically fixed.
No, definitely not. It's about addressing the underlying issues and developing healthier coping mechanisms.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's important to remember that recovery from bulimia is possible.
That's encouraging.
It is. It takes time and effort and support,
Yeah.
but it's definitely achievable.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Me too.
Oh.
Okay, so we've covered anorexia and bulimia.
Yeah.
What about binge eating disorder?
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about that one.
So Dr. Birru points out that binge eating disorder, or BED, is actually the most common eating disorder.
Really? More common than anorexia and bulimia?
Yeah, it is.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
It's often overlooked, but it's incredibly prevalent.
Okay, so what are the hallmarks of binge eating disorder?
Well, as the name suggests,
Yeah.
it involves recurrent episodes of binge eating.
Right.
But unlike bulimia,
Yeah.
there are no regular compensatory behaviors like purging or excessive exercise.
So people with BED just keep the food down.
Exactly.
Got it.
Now, during a binge eating episode, individuals consume a large amount of food in a short period of time.
Okay.
And they often feel a sense of loss of control during these episodes, like they can't stop themselves from eating.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
And after a binge eating episode, individuals often experience feelings of guilt, shame, and disgust.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's really distressing.
So what causes BED?
Well, Dr. Birru suggests that it's a complex interplay of biological, psychological, and social factors.
Okay.
There might be a genetic component.
Okay.
Certain psychological factors like low self-esteem or difficulty regulating emotions can also contribute.
Got it.
And social factors like our culture's emphasis on thinness and the availability of highly palatable processed foods can also play a role.
So it's like a perfect storm of factors that can lead to BE.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru emphasizes that BED is a serious condition that can have significant negative consequences for both physical and mental health.
What kind of consequences?
Well, physically, BED can lead to weight gain, which can increase the risk for things like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain cancers.
Wow. So it's not just about the emotional distress. It can have real physical health implications.
Exactly. And mentally, BED can contribute to depression, anxiety, and social isolation.
So it's like a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
The binge eating can worsen the mental health problems and vice versa.
Exactly.
So how do you treat B?
Well, Dr. Birru suggests that treatment for BED typically involves a combination of therapy and medication.
Okay.
Therapy can help individuals identify and change the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that contribute to their binge eating.
Okay.
And medication can be helpful in reducing the urge to binge eat and managing any co-occurring mental health conditions.
Got it.
Dr. Birru mentions that certain antidepressants and anti-seizure medications have been found to be effective for BED.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, and as with any eating disorder, early intervention and treatment is key.
Yeah, the sooner you can get help, the better.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered the three most common eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, and BED.
Yeah.
But Dr. Birru also talks about some lesser-known eating disorders.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that earlier. I'm curious to hear about those.
Yeah, so let's delve into those a little bit. So one that Dr. Birru highlights is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, or ARFID.
ARFID, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? But it's an important one to be aware of.
So what is ARFID?
Well, it's characterized by a lack of interest in food or an aversion to certain textures, smells, or tastes.
So it's not about wanting to be thin or having a distorted body image?
No, it's more about an intense dislike or fear of certain foods.
Oh, okay.
And this can lead to significant weight loss, nutritional deficiencies, and developmental problems in children.
Wow, so it can be really serious.
It can. And Dr. Birru emphasizes that ARFID is often misdiagnosed as picky eating.
I can see how that would happen.
Yeah, but it's important to distinguish between the two because ARFID is much more than just picky eating.
Okay, so what causes ARFID?
Well, Dr. Birru suggests that it can be caused by a variety of factors, including sensory sensitivities, anxiety disorders, gastrointestinal problems, or past negative experiences with food.
So it's like a multifaceted condition.
It is, and treatment often involves a combination of things like nutritional counseling, behavioral therapy, and medication, if necessary.
Okay.
Another lesser-known eating disorder that Dr. Birru talks about is pica.
No, I've heard of pica, but I'm not sure I fully understand it.
Well, pica is characterized by the persistent eating of non-food substances.
Non-food substances? Like what?
Things like dirt paint, hair ice paper.
Whoa, that's kind of disturbing.
It is, and it can be really dangerous.
Yeah, I can imagine ingesting those things could cause all sorts of problems.
It can lead to things like poisoning, intestinal blockages, infections, and even death.
Wow, so it's not just a weird quirk, it's a serious condition.
Exactly, and Dr. Birru points out that pica can occur in both children and adults.
Okay.
And it can be associated with a variety of conditions, including intellectual disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, and iron deficiency anemia.
So it's not always clear what causes it.
Right. Treatment for pica often involves a combination of medical care to address any underlying medical conditions, behavioral therapy to help reduce the pica behaviors,
Makes sense.
and environmental modifications to make it more difficult for the individual to access the non-food substances.
Got it.
And finally, Dr. Birru mentions rumination disorder.
Rumination disorder. I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah, it's not as well known as some of the other eating disorders.
So what is it?
Well, it's characterized by the repeated regurgitation of food.
Regurgitation, like throwing up?
Sort of, but it's not the same as vomiting.
Okay.
With rumination disorder, the food comes back up into the mouth without any nausea or retching.
So it's like an involuntary reflex.
Exactly. And the individual may then re-chew the food and swallow it again or spit it out.
That's kind of gross.
It can be, and it can also be really distressing for the individual who's experiencing it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Now, the exact cause of rumination disorder is unknown,
Okay.
but it's thought to be related to a combination of physiological and psychological factors. Treatment for rumination disorder often involves a combination of behavioral therapy to help the individual learn new ways to cope with stress and anxiety,
Okay.
and sometimes medication to help reduce the regurgitation behaviors.
Got it.
So as you can see, the world of eating disorders is vast and complex.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just anorexia and bulimia.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru does a fantastic job of highlighting the nuances of these different disorders and the importance of taking them all seriously.
Absolutely. I'm learning so much from these lecture notes.
Me too. It's like a crash course in eating disorders.
It is. Okay, so we've covered eating disorders in some depth.
We have.
What's next on the agenda?
Well, in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to shift gears and focus on substance use disorders.
Okay, substance use disorders. That's a whole other can of worms.
It is. But Dr. Birru's insights into substance use disorders are just as fascinating and thought-provoking as their insights into eating disorders.
I'm intrigued. Can't wait to hear more.
Me too. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to our deep dive into the world of Dr. Birru's lecture notes.
I'm ready for more.
Me too. Okay, so before the break, we were talking about eating disorders.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really stood out to me was Dr. Birru's observation about the fear of weight gain in anorexia.
Oh, yeah, that was fascinating.
It's like, it's not just a side effect of the disorder. It's like
Right.
the driving force.
Like a phobia, almost.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru suggests that this fear might actually be tied to alterations in the brain's reward pathways.
Interesting.
So it's possible that restricting food intake could actually trigger a release of dopamine,
Oh.
creating a sense of reward or relief for individuals with anorexia.
So it's not just about willpower or vanity.
Right.
There's a real biological component to it.
Exactly. And that makes treatment even more challenging
Yeah, I can imagine.
because you're not just fighting against someone's thoughts and
He's
behavior.
fighting against their brain chemistry.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so we've covered anorexia and bulimia in detail.
Yeah.
What about binge eating disorder, or BED?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
So Dr. Birru points out that BED is actually the most common eating disorder.
Really? More common than anorexia and bulimia?
Yeah, it is.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's often overshadowed by the other two,
Right.
but it's incredibly prevalent.
So what makes BED different from bulimia?
Well, the main difference is that with BED,
Yeah.
there are no regular compensatory behaviors.
So no purging or excessive exercise?
Exactly. Individuals with BED engage in episodes of binge eating,
Okay.
where they consume a large amount of food in a short period of time,
Okay.
but they don't try to compensate for that overeating afterwards.
So they just keep the food down.
Exactly.
Got it.
And like with other eating disorders, BED can have serious physical and psychological consequences.
Like what?
Well, physically, BED can lead to weight gain,
Okay.
which can increase the risk for things like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain cancers.
Wow, so it's not just about the emotional distress.
Right.
It can have real physical health implications.
Exactly. And mentally, BED can contribute to depression, anxiety,
Right.
low self-esteem, and social isolation.
So it's like a vicious cycle. The binge eating can worsen the mental health problems and vice versa.
Exactly. And it's important to note that BED is not just about overeating.
Right.
It's about feeling a sense of loss of control during those binge eating episodes.
Like you can't stop yourself.
Exactly.
So what causes BED?
Well, Dr. Birru suggests that it's likely a combination of factors.
Okay.
There might be a genetic predisposition,
Okay.
but environmental and psychological factors also play a role.
Like what?
Things like chronic stress,
Yeah.
trauma,
Yeah.
emotional dysregulation.
So it's like people are using food to cope with difficult emotions.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru also talks about the role of our food environment,
Okay.
with the easy availability of highly palatable processed foods.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's kind of set up for overeating.
It is.
And then you add in all these other factors,
Right.
and it's no wonder that BED is so prevalent.
It's like a perfect storm.
Exactly. So how do you treat BED?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Well, Dr. Birru suggests that treatment for BED typically involves a combination of therapy and medication.
Okay.
Therapy can help individuals identify and change the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that contribute to their binge eating.
Okay.
And medication can be helpful in reducing the urge to binge eat and managing any co-occurring mental health conditions like depression or anxiety.
So it's a similar approach to treating other eating disorders.
Yeah, in many ways, but the focus is a little bit different.
How so?
Well, with BED, you're not necessarily trying to help someone change their body size or shape.
Right.
It's more about helping them develop a healthier relationship with food and their emotions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's important to remember that recovery from DED is possible.
That's good to hear.
It is. It takes time and effort and support,
Yeah.
but it's definitely achievable.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, so we've covered the big three: anorexia, bulimia, and BED.
Yeah, we've learned a lot.
We have. But Dr. Birru doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. They also dedicate a section of their lecture notes to lesser-known eating disorders.
Ooh, okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So one that really stood out to me was avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, or ARFID.
ARFID. Okay, another new one for me. What is that?
So ARFID is characterized by an extreme aversion to certain foods,
Okay.
often based on texture, smell, or appearance.
So it's like super picky eating.
Kind of, but it's more than that.
How so?
Well, individuals with ARFID might avoid entire food groups,
Okay.
or they might only eat a very limited number of foods.
And this can lead to?
Significant weight loss, nutritional deficiencies, and even developmental problems in children.
Wow, so it can be really serious.
It can, and Dr. Birru emphasizes that ARFID is often misdiagnosed as just picky eating.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen.
But it's important to distinguish between the two,
Right.
because ARFID requires specialized treatment.
So what causes ARFID?
Well, it's thought to be caused by a combination of factors,
Okay.
including sensory sensitivities, anxiety disorders, gastrointestinal problems, and past negative experiences with food.
So it's a pretty complex condition.
It is, and treatment often involves a multidisciplinary approach,
Okay.
with things like nutritional counseling, behavioral therapy, and sometimes medication.
Got it.
Another lesser-known eating disorder that Dr. Birru discusses is pica.
Pica, yeah, I've heard of that one, but I'm not really sure what it is.
So pica is characterized by the persistent eating of non-food substances.
Non-food substances, like what?
Things like dirt, paint, hair ice.
Ew, that's kind of gross.
It is, and it can be really dangerous.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Ingesting these things can lead to poisoning, intestinal blockages, infections, and even death.
Wow, so it's not just a weird habit.
Right.
It's a serious medical condition.
Exactly. And pica can occur in both children and adults.
Okay.
And it can be associated with a variety of underlying conditions, including intellectual disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, and iron deficiency anemia.
So it's not always clear what causes it.
Right. Treatment for pica often involves a combination of medical care to address any underlying medical conditions,
Okay.
behavioral therapy to help reduce the pica behaviors,
Makes sense.
and environmental modifications to make it more difficult for the individual to access the non-food substances.
Okay, so like keeping things like dirt and paint out of reach.
Exactly.
Got it.
And finally, Dr. Birru mentions rumination disorder.
Rumination disorder. Okay, that one's totally new to me.
Yeah, it's not as well known as some of the other eating disorders.
So what is it?
Well, it's characterized by the repeated regurgitation of food.
Regurgitation, like throwing up.
Sort of, but it's not the same as vomiting.
Okay, how is it different?
Well, with rumination disorder, the food comes back up into the mouth without any nausea or retching.
So it's more like an involuntary reflex.
Exactly. And the individual may then re-chew the food and swallow it again or spit it out.
Huh, that's interesting.
It is. And it can also be really distressing for the individual who's experiencing it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Now, the exact cause of rumination disorder is unknown,
Okay.
but it's thought to be related to a combination of physiological and psychological factors.
Okay.
Treatment for rumination disorder often involves a combination of behavioral therapy to help the individual learn new ways to cope with stress and anxiety,
Okay.
and sometimes medication to help reduce the regurgitation behaviors.
Got it. So as you can see, the world of eating disorders is vast and complex.
It is. And Dr. Birru's lecture notes really highlight the diversity of these disorders and the importance of taking them all seriously.
Absolutely. It's not just about anorexia and bulimia.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered eating disorders in quite a bit of detail.
Yeah, we have.
Now let's shift gears and talk about substance use disorders.
Okay, substance use disorders. That's a whole other topic.
It is. But Dr. Birru's insights into substance use disorders are just as fascinating and important as their insights into eating disorders.
I'm ready to learn more. Bring it on.
Okay, so one of the first things Dr. Birru does is challenge the common misconception that substance use disorders are simply about a lack of willpower.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It is. And Dr. Birru emphasizes that substance use disorders are complex brain diseases.
Brain diseases.
Yes. They involve changes in brain structure and function.
So it's not just a matter of making better choices.
Right.
There's an actual biological component to it.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru points out that substance use disorders are characterized by 4 major symptom groups.
Okay, what are they?
Impaired control, social impairment, risky use, and physical effects.
Okay, can you break those down a little bit more?
Sure. So impaired control refers to the inability to control one's use of a substance.
Oh.
Despite negative consequences.
So like continuing to use drugs or alcohol even though it's causing problems in your life.
Exactly.
Got it. What about social impairment?
So social impairment refers to the negative impact that substance use has on an individual's relationships and social life.
Okay.
They might withdraw from friends and family, neglect their responsibilities,
Right.
and experience conflict in their relationships.
Makes sense. What about risky use?
Risky use refers to using substances in situations where it's physically dangerous.
Like driving under the influence?
Exactly. Or operating machinery.
Okay.
Or engaging in other activities that could put themselves or others at risk.
Got it. And what about physical effects?
So physical effects refer to the physical consequences of substance use, which can vary depending on the substance,
Right.
but can include things like intoxication tolerance and withdrawal.
Okay, so intoxication is like being high or drunk.
Exactly. And tolerance is when you need more and more of a substance to achieve the same effect.
Okay.
And withdrawal is when you experience unpleasant physical and psychological symptoms when you stop using a substance.
Yeah, I've heard of withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, they can be pretty intense.
So substance use disorders sound pretty serious.
They are.
Yeah.
And Dr. Birru really emphasizes that they're not something to be taken lightly. So they delve into the risk factors for substance use disorders.
Okay, what are some of the risk factors?
Well, Dr. Birru highlights the interplay of genetic, environmental, and psychological factors.
Okay, can you give me some examples?
Sure. So genetically, some people are more predisposed to developing substance use disorders
Okay.
than environmentally. Factors like exposure to trauma, poverty, and discrimination can increase the risk.
Got it. And what about psychological factors?
Psychological factors like low self-esteem, impulsivity, and difficulty regulating emotions can also contribute to the development of substance use disorders.
So it's like a combination of nature and nurture.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Dr. Birru also talks about the role of early childhood experiences.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
I did. And they emphasize that adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, can significantly increase the risk of developing substance use disorders later in life.
So things like abuse, neglect, or witnessing violence in the home.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really sad.
It is. And it's important to note that not everyone who experiences ACEs will go on to develop substance use disorders.
Right.
But it does increase the risk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Dr. Birru's lecture notes really highlight the importance of addressing trauma and promoting resilience in childhood.
Yeah, if we can prevent these adverse childhood experiences,
Right.
then we can potentially prevent a lot of substance use disorders down the road.
Exactly. Okay, so now that we have a better understanding of what substance use disorders are
Yeah.
and what some of the risk factors are,
Right.
let's talk about the different types of substances.
Okay, there's a lot of them, right?
Dr. Birru mentions a wide range of substances, including alcohol, caffeine, cannabis, opioids, stimulants, hallucinogens, and more.
Wow, that's a lot to cover.
It is. But Dr. Birru does a great job of breaking it down and explaining the unique effects of each substance.
Okay, so let's start with alcohol.
Alcohol is one of the most widely used and abused substances in the world.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And Dr. Birru points out that alcohol has a biphasic effect.
Biphasic effect, what's that?
So it means that alcohol produces different effects at different doses.
Oh, okay.
At low doses, alcohol can act as a stimulant.
So that's why people feel more energized and outgoing when they first start drinking.
Exactly. But as the dose increases, alcohol's sedative effects take over.
So that's why people get sleepy and slur their speech when they drink too much.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru emphasizes that this biphasic effect can be misleading.
How so?
Well, because the initial stimulant effects of alcohol can make it seem like it's not a big deal.
Right.
But the more you drink,
Yeah.
the more the sedative effects take over.
And that's when the problems start.
Exactly.
No.
And Dr. Birru also talks about the dangers of alcohol withdrawal.
Okay, yeah. I've heard that alcohol withdrawal can be really bad.
It can. It can actually be life-threatening in some cases.
Really?
Yeah, Dr. Birru specifically mentions a condition called alcohol withdrawal delirium, or DTs.
DTs, what's that?
So DTs is a severe form of alcohol withdrawal that can involve hallucinations, delusions, agitation, confusion, and seizures.
Wow, that sounds scary.
It is. And it can be fatal if not treated promptly.
So if someone's been drinking heavily for a long time,
Right.
they shouldn't just stop cold turkey.
Exactly. They need to do it under medical supervision
Okay.
to make sure that they're safe.
Got it. So what about other substances? What does Dr. Birru say about those?
Well, Dr. Birru goes into detail about the effects of a variety of substances,
Okay.
including caffeine, cannabis, opioids, stimulants, hallucinogens, and more.
Wow, that's a lot to cover.
It is. But Dr. Birru does a great job of explaining the unique risks and potential harms associated with each substance.
So it's like a crash course in drugs.
Kind of. And Dr. Birru also emphasizes the importance of harm reduction strategies.
Harm reduction strategies, what are those?
So harm reduction strategies are ways to reduce the negative consequences of substance use.
Okay, can you give me some examples?
Sure. So for example, if someone is injecting drugs,
Yeah.
a harm reduction strategy would be to provide them with clean needles.
Okay, to prevent the spread of diseases.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Or if someone is drinking heavily,
Yeah.
a harm reduction strategy would be to encourage them to drink in moderation
Okay.
and to eat food while they're drinking.
To slow down the absorption of alcohol.
Exactly.
So harm reduction is about meeting people where they're at and trying to minimize the negative consequences of their substance use.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru really emphasizes that harm reduction is an important part of a comprehensive approach to substance use disorders.
Okay.
It's not about condoning substance use.
Right.
It's about recognizing that people are going to use substances regardless of whether we approve or not.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's better to try to minimize the harm that they experience.
Than to just ignore the problem.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to get a much better understanding of substance use disorders.
Me too. And I think Dr. Birru's lecture notes really highlight the complexity of these disorders and the importance of taking a compassionate and evidence-based approach to treatment.
Absolutely. It's not about judging people.
Right.
It's about helping them.
Exactly. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive with Dr. Birru.
I'm ready.
Me too. We've explored a ton about eating disorders and substance use disorders and really started to grasp just how complex they are.
Right. Like the whole brain chemistry thing we were talking about.
Exactly. It's not just about willpower.
No, not at all.
These are real medical conditions with underlying biological and psychological factors.
Yeah, and what I find so fascinating is how Dr. Birru manages to connect all of these threats together. You know,
Exactly.
like how childhood experiences can increase the risk of both eating disorders and substance use disorders.
It's like they're painting this big picture of human vulnerability and resilience,
Absolutely.
and how important it is to take a holistic approach to treatment and prevention.
Yeah, I'm really starting to see these disorders in a whole new light.
Me too. Okay, so let's shift our focus to treatment options for substance use disorders.
Okay.
We talked about the importance of early intervention and evidence-based treatment.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, Dr. Birru emphasizes that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to treatment.
Okay.
It really needs to be tailored to the individual's unique needs and circumstances.
So what are some of the key components of a comprehensive treatment plan?
Well, Dr. Birru highlights the importance of a multi-pronged approach
Okay.
that addresses both the physical and psychological aspects of addiction.
So what does that entail?
It often involves a combination of medication,
Okay.
therapy,
Got it.
and support groups.
Okay, can you break that down a little bit more?
Sure. So medication can be helpful in managing withdrawal symptoms,
Okay.
reducing cravings,
Yeah.
and preventing relapse.
Makes sense.
Therapy can help individuals address the underlying emotional issues,
Okay.
develop coping skills,
Yeah.
and build a strong support system.
Got it.
And support groups can provide a sense of community, belonging,
Yeah.
and accountability.
Makes sense. So it's like a three-pronged attack on addiction.
Exactly. You've got to address it from all angles.
Okay, so let's talk about medication a little bit more.
Okay.
Dr. Birru specifically mentions that there are now FDA-approved medications for treating nicotine, alcohol, and opioid use disorders.
That's huge.
It is. It's a major advancement in the field of addiction treatment.
So how do these medications work?
Well, they work in different ways,
Okay.
but essentially they help to reduce cravings and block the pleasurable effects of the substance.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like they're taking away the reward,
Right.
which makes it easier to resist using the substance.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru gives a specific example of a medication called disulfiram,
Disulfiram, okay.
which is used to treat alcohol use disorder.
Okay.
And disulfiram works by creating unpleasant reactions when alcohol is consumed.
Oh, wow. So it's like a deterrent.
Exactly. So if someone takes disulfiram and then drinks alcohol,
Yeah.
they'll experience things like nausea, vomiting, headache, flushing.
Yikes. That doesn't sound fun.
It's not. And that's the point.
So it's like negative reinforcement. Exactly. It makes the experience of drinking alcohol so unpleasant
Right.
that it deters people from doing it.
Okay, I get it. But disulfiram isn't for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
It's important to note that disulfiram is only effective if the person is motivated to abstain from alcohol.
Yeah, because if they're not motivated,
Yeah.
they could just choose not to take the medication.
Exactly. And it's also important to use disulfiram under the supervision of a healthcare professional
Okay.
because there could be some serious side effects if it's not used properly.
Got it. So disulfiram is one option for treating alcohol use disorder.
Yes.
What are some other options?
Well, Dr. Birru mentions naltrexone and acamprosate,
Okay.
which work by reducing cravings and blocking the pleasurable effects of alcohol.
So they're similar to disulfiram in that they make it easier to resist drinking.
Yeah, exactly. But they work in different ways.
Okay.
And they don't have the same unpleasant side effects as disulfiram.
That's good to know. So medication can be a really helpful tool in treating alcohol use disorder.
It can, but it's important to remember that medication is not a cure-all.
Right.
It's just one part of a comprehensive treatment plan.
So what are the other parts of a comprehensive treatment plan?
Well, Dr. Birru emphasizes the importance of psychotherapy.
Okay, therapy.
Yeah, therapy can help individuals address the underlying emotional issues that might be contributing to their substance use.
Makes sense.
It can also help them develop healthier coping mechanisms and build a strong support system.
So it's about getting to the root of the problem.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru highlights two types of therapy that are particularly effective for substance use disorders.
Okay, what are they?
Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT,
Okay, I've heard of CBT.
and motivational interviewing.
Okay.
So CBT helps individuals identify and change the negative thoughts and behaviors that contribute to their substance use.
So it's about retraining your brain.
Exactly. And motivational interviewing helps individuals explore their ambivalence about change
Okay.
and build their own internal motivation for recovery.
So it's about empowering the individual to make a change.
Exactly. And Dr. Birru also stresses the importance of addressing any co-occurring mental health conditions.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
It is, because substance use disorders and mental health conditions often go hand in hand.
Yeah, like someone with depression might turn to alcohol to self-medicate.
Exactly. And so it's important to treat both conditions simultaneously.
Makes sense.
And Dr. Birru also talks about the role of family therapy and support groups in the recovery process.
Okay, why are those important?
Well, addiction doesn't just affect the individual.
Right.
It affects their entire family system.
Yeah, of course.
So family therapy can help to repair those strained relationships,
Okay.
improve communication,
Yeah,
and create a more supportive environment for recovery.
makes sense. And what about support groups?
So support groups like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous
Yeah.
can provide individuals with a sense of community,
Okay.
belonging,
Yeah.
and accountability.
Got it.
They can also offer valuable peer support and guidance.
So it's like having a network of people who understand what you're going through.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
And I think Dr. Birru's lecture notes really highlight the fact that treatment for substance use disorders needs to be comprehensive
Absolutely.
and individualized.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
important to remember that recovery is a journey,
Yeah.
not a destination.
It's process.
It is, and it's not always easy.
Right. There will be ups and downs.
There will, but with the right support and treatment,
Yeah.
recovery is definitely possible.
Well, that's encouraging.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think Dr. Birru's lecture notes really leave us with a sense of hope
Yeah, they do.
that even though these disorders are complex and challenging,
Right.
there is help available and recovery is within reach.
Well said. I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive.
I agree. Thanks for joining me on this journey through Dr. Birru's incredible lecture notes.
It's been fascinating. I've learned so much.
Me too. And I hope our listeners have too.
I'm sure they have.
And to our listeners, if you or someone you know is struggling with an eating disorder or a substance use disorder, please reach out for help.
Yes, there are resources available.
There are, and you don't have to go through this alone.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Take care.